So this isn't working. Something here just isn't right. The job, the routine, the life path. I want out. I want to escape, but I have no idea what escaping even looks like. I'm stuck. That was me for years. I just knew I wanted to quit my job and escape the rat race, but I didn't really know what to do. And even if I did, I didn't know how to do it. If this sounds like you, you've come to the right place because this is something I felt for almost my entire life, really up until recently. I felt this in college, felt this after college when I had a job, and I really only kicked that feeling in the last year, year and a half. And this is something that I get a lot when I'm talking to people, when I'm watching videos, reading comments, and even on calls with people. There are many men out there stuck, but the worst part is they don't really know what's next. And that begs the question, how do we get unstuck? Many times it's a mental problem. It's kind of like a self limiting mental block that I experienced for most of my life too. And I got more clarity on how to get out of this feeling stuck mentality in the last year or so. Honestly, what's amazing about my job, if you could even call it that on YouTube, is that I have a frontline pulse on the problems that we're all experiencing in our lives. And it's really eye opening because most people have a desire to follow their dreams, to do something else, stick it to the man, go on their own journey. But it's hard to pinpoint exactly what you want to do or what your life would even look like. Like, what are your dreams? Like, a lot of people can't even define that. So on Why Learn Wednesday, my mediocre podcast, we're going to be discussing exactly how to find that thing to do next, that thing that helps you escape the rat race and find a life of fulfillment using my own failures and starting businesses and finding a way to leave the rat race eventually after just being lost for so long and not knowing what's going on for a long period of time. When I was in college, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and not have to compete in the rat race. I was totally sold on the lifestyle, the vision of complete freedom, the traveling, making so much money that you didn't know what to do with it. I religiously consumed Gary Vee content, got obsessed with that hustler's lifestyle, grind 24/7 type of stuff. I worked hard at school initially. I got internships. I started my own business in university and based around a joke where I sold, t-shirts and eventually children's books. I was hungry. And if I wasn't partying and drinking beer, I was working on my dreams. I did not want to waste away in a job that I hated, as you would see on social media. And after I started this business, on paper, I thought it was going pretty well. I got up to 25,000 followers on Instagram at one point and launched a t-shirt brand. I published children's books. I even made appearances on local TV and honestly, like some degree of like success and notoriety. And right before I launched this book, this children's book that I spent a lot of time on, I really hyped it up online. Like everyone in my following knew it was coming, and then it finally launched. And I remember those days very well. Once I launched it, immediately hundreds of dollars of orders just flooded in on that first day. And I was amazed that I was earning money from my phone. It was just a completely different concept to me. And nobody taught me anything like this in school or really anywhere. And then there's maybe a week that went by where every time I made an Instagram post, I would get like $100 to $200 of book orders. It felt like I had a button in my pocket that every time I pressed the button, it was like, press this for more money. It was a glimpse of what life could be like, a little taste of what like success in the online business space could look like. The button push is no work, but all the work leading up to that, building the audience, the trust, the brand, that's anything but easy. Then after that first week, all that hype, all that anticipation for the launch, the orders started going dry. Like I might have gotten to a few $1,000s in orders that first week, and then they really, really tapered off. This forced me to wake up from this day's dream I was in and look at the numbers. And I realized that my business was just kind of burning cash. Nothing was growing without my constant 24/7 attention and without constantly putting money in for ads. The organic growth came to a halt. This was really taking a toll on me mentally as I was still a student in college and working an internship as well. I was kind of going crazy, if I'm being honest with you. This was not a great time in my life. At the end of the day, I really had no idea what I was doing. And I had the self-awareness to know that I was just failing at the dream. I was a little bit delusional, which is not a bad trait to have, but it also needs to be balanced with realism. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I had several problems. Number one, I had no skills. I'd proven really, honestly, that I was a complete idiot in many dimensions at the time. I was winging everything. Felt like I had no real plan. I was just kind of, going along with the flow. I didn't have great tech skills. I didn't have great people skills. And these are big deal. Like people skills is not something to sleep on. It should be valued equally as more concrete skills. And my sales and communication skills weren't great at the time either. And I'd say the biggest one was I had no money, right? It would have been a poor decision to basically keep funding this thing, to keep going into debt and, not to get a job and take this big risk, which would have just isolated myself even more. So my options were becoming extremely limited. And I was in this predicament. I was getting stuck, right? I was burnt out. I was extremely thin on time and I had to make a change. Although the business was a failure, it wasn't all bad though. Like as the failure taught me a lot. Like there were many learnings that helped me in the future. Just by getting out there and taking that risk, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about, business, margins, the leverage of a large audience, giving you a push button money machine, the leverage of your time. I even did some social media consulting at the time for companies looking to grow their Instagram presence. And the consulting was profitable, just straight up time for money. I built a website for my products. I understood what it took to grow on social media. And, hint, hint, these both might have helped me with my career in software and with what I'm doing right now with Wylearn. I learned some tough lessons that I can apply to what I'm doing right now. And I even have some of the same concerns from that lesson from like my projects now. Like, will this organic growth stop? Am I doing the right things? Am I asking for things too early? Am I on the right track? Like these questions never leave you. So at that point in my life, I raised the surrender flag and I joined the one thing that I swore to avoid at all costs. And I embraced a 9-to-5 job. I really ran out of options and this was, something I needed. Again, I didn't have money, didn't really have the skills or the people skills. And I did feel like a failure in a way. I conceded on my dreams. But at this point in my journey, it was really exactly what I needed. I met a ton of people. I learned a lot of tangible skills in software. And because I was in the office every day, I gained a lot of interpersonal skills. And honestly, it's kind of a side note, but lots of people out of college want remote only work. And I think this could be a mistake because it's easier to meet a lot of people and gain a lot of those soft skills that are so important by just going somewhere every day. With some guys, it comes naturally, but for guys, including me, it just didn't really come naturally. So I needed those years of being social. And after about 5 years in corporate America, I was a completely different beast. I had more confidence. I had a ton of more software skills, a lot more connections. Now I had a financial cushion. So this is a totally different place than I was in before. You can embrace a 9-to-5 and, it can really do good for you. And then the feeling came around again. So as time went on, the corporate burnout was real, and these feelings that I had in college of just wanting to do something else and feeling stuck, they came back very strong. I did think to myself, well, I could easily just do this for the rest of my life. Like the work wasn't lighting a fire under me by any means, but it's good money, and it's just like having the golden handcuffs. You're getting paid well just to sit put and have a cushy job. It's not bad enough to where you want to leave, but it's also not good enough to where you're that happy. I didn't have that push or drive to just do more work when I got home from work. I was too comfortable. I'd come home, I'd scroll on social media, and I'd play video games. And really, I would just do nothing with my vast amounts of free time. And this was slowly getting to me because this might be a missed opportunity that I'll regret for the rest of my life. So I came to that point, I want to leave, but I don't know what to do next. I knew I wanted to be closer with my girlfriend, to travel, but how the hell am I going to make more money? And this was just as early as 1 to 2 years ago. And I had this exact same feeling of just not knowing what next looks like. And I didn't know how to do it. I knew I could just quit like I had the money, but that would be unproductive. I have to have a plan. And I was stuck in my paralysis of thought again. I was like, well, I can't quit. What's everyone going to think of me? How am I going to explain this to people in my life? How can I make it for myself out there? I failed at this before. I'm just going to fail again. So for a while, I just kept doing nothing. I'd come home after work and scroll and do nothing and waste more time. I kind of figured out that the only thing holding me back was my own thoughts and actions. I had the skills. I was a much better version of myself than last time. And for most of you listening right now, the only thing holding you back is your own thoughts and your own self-sabotaging habits. I mean, you have the tools, you have exactly what you need. You just lack discipline and drive to truly escape the race and do what you want to in life because it's going to require hard work. It's not an easy thing to do. So here's how I got unstuck through trial and error. When you don't know what to do next, here's what you got to do. You need to just start trying shit. It doesn't matter what it is. Just figure out what you're interested in through trial and error and trying a bunch of different things. For me, first I looked into reviving my old Instagram page from college, and it had a lot of followers, but it was kind of dead. I tried reviving it with funny AI Reels content and, well, didn't realize how much people hated AI content at the time, so this was a total flop. And most of my audience was old and moved on anyways, so that was a swing and a miss. Then I looked at what other content I could make. Looked at Upwork as well in the job market. Like, do I have a good chance here? Could I get freelance clients? Maybe I should try to get a few to see if I could prove it to myself and keep my interview skills sharp. And at this time as well, I was really into finance. I liked Call of Duty. I would play it a couple times a week. And I saw some videos on the internet that I vibed with. And so I was like, well, maybe let's start a YouTube channel where I'm just talking about stuff I'm interested in. I'm going to play the games anyway, so maybe I could make it into something productive. And I was kind of in the let's just try stuff out mode. Like, I didn't envision Wylearn to become this thing that now generates real money for me. I just started doing things that I enjoyed doing. But there's a key word in there in that sense that I need us to focus in on: doing. I was doing stuff. I had Why Learn Tech as an idea in my notebook for years. I made the channel, I believe, in 2023, and the original plan was to talk about technology and why we should learn it, why learn tech. But I kind of repurposed it into a passion project, and it didn't look perfect, but I wasn't a perfectionist waiting for the right time. It'll never be perfect. The key is, at what point can you get from just words from in your notebook into action and things that are actually happening? Think of your life as a movie. If it was a guy who just played it safe the whole time in the same place, never took any action on anything, man, nobody would buy tickets to that movie. What a terrible movie. But now I'm doing what I would say are some interesting things. I'm posting about it. I like to think of myself as a crash test dummy of entrepreneurship, and it's more entertaining, more fulfilling. And because I own my projects and my time and my life, it's way different. It's just a totally different lifestyle. And I do really make the type of content that I love watching others make as well. So now here's the tough part. How do you get out of that rut to start working on your dreams? Because there were many days when I didn't want to come home from work and do more work. But here's what I told myself. Okay, I'm 27, 28. I have a serious relationship. In 2 to 3 years, it's very feasible that I have kids. And once you have kids, your free time is going to be shot, obviously, in a beautiful way. But it's true. You ever try to hit up your friends who have kids and the ones who don't and see which one's easier to make plans with? Try it out and let me know. Because instead of, yeah, I'm free this weekend, it's going to be, yeah, I'm free in 2 months from today on Tuesday the 18th for 45 minutes. Like, it's literally what it's like. I figure I'll never in my life ever again have more free time and youth and energy than I do right now. If I don't get my ass off Netflix and scrolling on social media when I get home from work, I may never have this opportunity again in my life. And I believe many of you are in this same situation. If you're in your 20s especially, you don't know how many years of like vast amounts of free time you have left. So go do shit. Operate with some urgency, almost as if it was your last chance, because likely it is. I thought I could always go back and get a job if I had to. So I was like, okay, now's the time to go. I'm going to give it a good shot for a few years and see what happens. If you're truly stuck, the best way to get unstuck is identify where your free time is. You know, what are you doing that's unproductive, and allocate some time into just trying things out. Could be content creation, could be some freelance work, just learning a new skill that you could sell to someone, could literally be anything. I also like to strike a balance in my life between consumption versus creation. Like, I love watching YouTube videos and Netflix and some good shows and stuff like that. I still consume quite a bit of content because I enjoy it and it's relaxing and it gives me ideas sometimes too. But the key is I need to be creating at a minimum as much as I am consuming. Like, if I want to watch an hour of YouTube, I need to spend at least an hour planning video ideas, recording, and editing, because consuming won't get you anywhere. If you truly want to escape the rat race, you need to be creating. I was a consumption guy before this mindset shift. Like, I was truly, like you're talking to right now, the king of wasted time. Like 4 to 6 hours per day, screen time, dumb stuff, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, without putting any of my thoughts out there into the world. And if you're constantly consuming, like, you're just running out of time and you don't even know it. Like, you might not have any free time in 3 years and you'll totally regret not spending time on things to build this stuff up now. Don't wait till tomorrow. You could wait till tomorrow every day. Start now. Start today. It's just amazing how my thoughts almost freed themselves when I started working in this way. Like, there's more business ideas, more cool projects. And this just came from trial and error, trying things, seeing what I enjoy, seeing what others enjoy too. I'm a big trial and error guy. So if you're saying to yourself, I want to start something, but I don't know what, just try a bunch of different stuff out and just limit your consumption. And that could get you on the path to being unstuck. It's one option. So that'll help you figure out the what to do. The next part would be how to do it. Like, if you don't know how to do stuff, well, that's great. Nobody knows how to do anything right away. When I was younger, one thing that my dad did that would really piss me off is if I didn't know how to do something, I went up to him, I'd say, hey, Dad, I'm confused. How do I calculate the slope of this line? He'd just reply with a smart-ass comment, say, oh, go figure it out. I won't be able to help you on the exam. You got to learn how to do this yourself. Go on Google. And it pissed me off every single time because, I'd go up to my mom and I'd ask her and she'd basically do the homework for me. But my dad, he had a different approach. Figure it out. Despite like how mad it got me when I was younger, today I thank him every day for doing that, because now I was forced to figure it out. I can just go and learn anything. I don't need anybody's help. Now I'm an adult and I like to take pride in just figuring stuff out. People ask me basic questions all the time that are extremely Googleable. Like, hey, Wyler, how do I buy a stock? How do I edit a YouTube video? How do I open a Roth IRA? How do I build a website? And in my head, I just hear my dad, go figure it out. It's all out there. It's on the internet. If I don't know how to do something, I go to Google, I go to ChatGPT, I learn about it. You need to, not have these blocks in your head. You have to say, no matter what happens, I'm going to figure this out. That's your job if you want to escape the rat race, because nobody's going to hold your hands and sit there and knock down these obstacles for you. It's your life. You got to go do it. There's a level of just figuring it out. And that's the how part. You need to learn and continually make progress. And it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's going to make you a stronger person at the end of the day. Take accountability for this stuff. Don't let obstacles get in your way. So I basically just figured out my next steps through trial and error to figure out what I wanted to do. And then the mindset shift of creating more and taking accountability and just going and figuring it out. Like, I'd figured out a path on how to do it. And so at that point, I quit. I haven't looked back. Now I'm working on more fulfilling things that are more interesting to me. And that wouldn't have been possible if I kept scrolling and doing nothing. And that's what separates me from most people. It's not intelligence. It's not being handsome. I'm average looking at best. I just go out there. I go out there and try stuff. That's what separates me. So that's my little Why Learn Wednesday rant. A little bit longer than I guess I would have thought it would have been, but hope you enjoyed, and I hope this helps you get over those stuck feelings. If you want to be unstuck, I did just make a Discord, and I'm hoping that we can bounce ideas off each other and create a nice community over on Discord. So I'm going to leave that link in the description below. As always, I want you guys to do well. So go out there and go do stuff. Go try stuff. Get yourself unstuck. Let's make some waves out there. Till next time.